Jim Malik, Worcester. I just heard your comments about you guys like accessibility for voting.
We do, yeah, I do.
But it comes at a cost. The cost is integrity of the voting system. And I expected you guys to discuss the news about Montgomery County regarding voter integrity. You
Well, we
guys-
do have an election
You
meeting
guys,
after this.
I get that.
And that we can discuss.
I get that. I get that. DOJ just came out with a statement that reads, Montgomery County man charged with election fraud offenses. Okay? Registered here, registered in Philly, registered in Florida. I'm sure he's got a lot of accessibility here, Florida, Philadelphia, and the DOJ, and God, and the Attorney General. So there is fraud, just so you know, seems to be apparent that there may be fraud in Montgomery County when it comes to the voting system. Okay? My question is, what safeguards, how come the safeguards didn't work on this individual? That's what I want, guy lives in Huntington Valley. All your safeguards, you said we have safeguards in place. How come they didn't work? I'll talk more about that at the election board. At the last board meeting, there was a lot of concern about non-citizen voting in this boardroom. And Mr. Makisha stated that when you register to vote, you not only have to declare your citizenship, but the state itself has your social security and driver's license, and they run the database and check. That's what you said. So I called the state to find out what the story is. They tell me you're incorrect, that you're providing inaccurate information, that everything flows through the county election board. Meaning, you have to verify citizenship, you gotta verify all this stuff. Not the state, Montgomery County, the election board. So my question will be to you at the election board, is what are you doing to verify citizenship? You gave us the impression that the state did it. The state told me that that does not happen.
I'm going to answer your questions. Do you have any more? You have 30 seconds.
No, go ahead.
Okay, good. So look, there was a resident of Montgomery County who was charged by the DOJ, which is proof that our safeguards do work in the sense that it was caught. And honestly, the one place this person seems to have voted legally, and we don't have all the facts yet, is in Montgomery County. So he was a resident of Montgomery County, entitled to vote in Montgomery County. The issue is how did he vote in the other jurisdictions? And in Montgomery County, we do something called a HAVA check. It's Help American Vote Act. It's a federal piece of legislation. And part of our standard for the check, which you're talking about, maybe I said databases, and it's saying the state does it. We actually do the check in Montgomery County, is a verification of the social security number and the birth date, and making sure that the person, the data lines up with what they submitted on the registration form. He submitted the correct information for Montgomery County, from what I understand, and was registered here appropriately, lived here, was entitled to vote here. And in Philadelphia, that was not the case. So it's unclear to me why they either allowed a registration or whether or not he voted. I don't have the information. But here in Montgomery County, what I can tell you is that he passed the HAVA check and was entitled to vote and was a voter here for decades. So that's a check that we do on everyone. And if someone does not pass the check, we mark them as pending or ID is not verified, is what we say. And there are hundreds of people who don't vote every single election because they don't pass the check. So we do not allow that group of voters, that group of people to vote if they don't pass the check. So we take that safeguard. And so there was not voter fraud in this instance in Montgomery County.
Because my point to you is that you had a voter in Montgomery County.
A resident of Montgomery County voted elsewhere.
I get it, but you didn't know that. You did not know that he registered in Philadelphia. You did not know be registered in Florida. You did not know that he voted here and there. And it goes to my next point, which I'll bring up at the board meeting, is that's no different than somebody who moves out of state that you don't know. They move out of state, maybe they vote in New York, but you have no way of knowing. There's the problem. So I'll talk to you more about it.
The DOJ obviously found out, right?
So, let's move on to the next one.
Jim Malik, Worcester. I sent you, all three commissioners, roughly 3,000 voters that I thought were eligible to be purged off the rolls. I got a non-responsive response that was unsigned by, I guess, Mr. Dean, that didn't answer really the questions I posed to you and what you intend to do about it. So I'll ask you again to review the 2 emails I sent you with roughly 3,000 voters that I identified, and how you want to proceed or not. If you don't want to proceed, well, it seems like we have another avenue now. It's the Attorney General and the DOJ. So, you know, I'd rather you guys move forward, but you tell me what you want me to do. I think that what you need to do on a monthly basis is have a report, either at this meeting or more likely the commissioners meeting, regarding your voter rolls. How many you purged, how many deceased voters were sent to you from the Department of Health, and how many of those got purged, how many people moved out of state got purged, how many people moved out of the county got purged, and do that report once a month. The non-responsive response that I got says you guys do it once a year. So something's not right. Your priorities seem to be wrong. So we understand the Montgomery County man charged with election offenses. He was a Montgomery voter who voted in other states. So your safeguard systems, from what I see, did not pick that up. Unless you can tell me which of your safeguards picked it up. Because I don't think that's the case. So if that is the case, that means that there are voters in this county who could very well vote in other states and other counties and you wouldn't know about it. That's my problem. That's my concern. And vice versa, it seems. So you're not really looking at your rolls that I can see. There's no evidence of it. You don't do a report. You don't tell us where you are in the purging process. So that's got to change somehow. Accessibility, you know, I guess you guys are talking about accessibility and 24/7 access to video of the drop boxes. Can you tell me who from the county reviews that 24/7 video? Do you have a specific person who reviews that video?
No one.
Right, nobody. So what's the purpose? How do you know, if you're not reviewing that video, how do you know the election fraud's not going on? How do you know somebody's not dropping 10 ballots in a box at 2 in the morning? So, you know, my point to you is, you know, you're bragging about 24/7. Well, have somebody review it, right? But I guess you would say that's my job.
We're out of time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
A couple of quick things, just on the first commenter. We do something called a HAVA check, which confirms Social Security and birthday, correct, during the registration process. That is the way that we ensure that eligible people are voting. So I certainly don't intend on putting signs out there the same way I would not put signs saying 16-year-olds can be jailed if they vote, right? It's not necessary. And I think it feeds into the misinformation that non-citizens are voting that people have put out there. And so there is a harm in doing that. The second issue in regard to other jurisdictions, Florida, I believe, does not participate in the ERIC system, which is collaboration among the states to ensure that registrations can be checked and not duplicative, among other things, and that's Florida's job, to ensure that they're not registering people who are registered elsewhere, and for whatever reason, they chose not to participate in the system that could help make that possible. Now, it's not the case that we don't check here in Montgomery County, because we do have a check, and we ensure that the person passes that check. And do we participate in ERIC? We participate in that system. So Frank can give you a further update on the voter roll maintenance process that we go through, which is dictated by the federal guidelines and the state guidelines as well. So Frank will give that update. I'm sure we'll have more things. That's good for now, but go ahead.
Well, so, since we commented, a couple things. One is the ERIC system, states originally signed up for it are starting to drop out because it's not accurate and hasn't performed as what people have desired. One. Two, there are states currently going through massive voter roll cleanup. Pennsylvania's not doing it. It's a governor, it's usually led by the governor. Shapiro's not going to be doing it. We know that there's probably tens of thousands or maybe hundreds of thousands of names on voter rolls that should not belong there. We know that. There has to be a massive voter roll cleanup, and it has to happen at the state level. And three, there are illegals that are voting in our election system. When I was at CCAP last week, I asked the Department of State that was there, are there illegals that are assigned on the voter system? And he said, unfortunately, yes. If they go through the automated process of getting a driver's license, that's more secure. But if they do a paper process, that they've been finding challenges, and that they're trying to identify where and if there are illegals that are voting. And the problem is that there's no national database that we could check against to compare, and that's a major problem. That's why Congress is just this week, I think, passed the SAFE Act. That's part of what they're trying to do, is to have a better system in place. But there are specific problems across the country with the voter rolls, and there are states that are moving towards cleaning them up. I think Atlanta, Georgia just took off like 100,000 people off their voter rolls. So there are problems. Are the problems big enough to impact an election? Who knows? But that's the facts.
So I'd like to just, last Board of Elections meeting, you corrected a public commenter that was using the term illegals.
What did I say?
You said illegals 3 times,
undocumented.
so undocumented. Thanks.
We can have a separate conversation about that, but I'm not aware of, there's far more disinformation out there scaring people and making them believe that people are entitled to vote or voting. And there are these rare instances in which someone falsifies a document to vote, and that person is later prosecuted, which we've seen. So, go ahead.
Up next is Michelle Miller.